Hey guys, what's going on? The draft is over. It was now about 3 weeks ago, and I apologize for the tardiness with this video. But I'm here now, and there's a lot to talk about as far as the draft goes, so I'm going to delve right into it. You all know the Bills drafted in the first round. If you didn't, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. They traded up. They drafted Sammy Watkins. Boom. There it is. They got the best offensive player available. Don't debate that with me. Don't. It wasn't Bortles, even though he went before him. It wasn't Greg Robinson, even though he went before him. It was Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins was the best offensive player available. And he's the only one who... Well, I shouldn't say that because Bortles is a quarterback, but... So forget that last thought. It's just... He had... It was... How do I want to word this? He had like the highest grades... pretty much across the board. There was thought that this guy could go number 2 to St. Louis. There was definitely thought that he could go number 3 to Jacksonville. And it's almost certain that he would have gone 4 to Cleveland had the Bills not come up with such, an attractive offer to the Browns. So there's reason to be excited about Sammy Watkins because, even in my opinion, he's the best offensive player available, and you needed an offensive weapon for your quarterback. We went in thinking they were going to get a wide receiver or a tight end, maybe even one of each. But the Bills took the approach that we just need another target. So they didn't go for the tight end. They must like what they have in Chandler, Moyaki, and Greg, and Lee Smith. And they went with a receiver. This is a big move for the Bills. I mean, it's huge. They traded up to 4. That's the kind of move you do when, you're serious. That just shows that you're serious. That you take winning, or that winning is the highest priority. That you are willing to give up a future first-round pick, which I didn't like all that much, but I'll talk about that in a second. You're willing to give up a future first-round pick in order to win now. And let's face it, it's a win-now league. You want to win now. Because looking at that first-round pick, I would rather have it. I believe I said this in the previous video, that I would love to have it just in case EJ, for some reason, doesn't pan out. If EJ does not turn the page, you give him Watkins, you have Spiller, he has Jackson, he has Bryce Brown now, he has Robert Woods, he has Mike Williams. You give him all these things, and he's got protection as well, which, I'll talk about all that. If he doesn't succeed now, you might be like, okay, quarterback is a real thing for us. We need to address that, and now you don't have a first-round pick next year. So that's the only issue where I have giving up the first, is your quarterback is unproven. If your quarterback is proven, then, my God, I don't mind it at all. But that's the only reservation I have about trading next year's first-round pick. They needed to sweeten the deal a little bit with the fourth-round pick. That's fine. I mean, that's the price you pay for somebody you expect to catch a lot of touchdowns for you. If you're upset that the pick wasn't Khalil Mack, I suppose I can understand that, because the Bills, I thought, had a decent needed defensive end, or at least a traditional defensive end, alongside Mario Williams, but you can't be mad about the best offensive player available. Greg Robinson doesn't score touchdowns. He might help get them there, but Mike Williams was a high pick too. I shouldn't go comparing Greg Robinson like that, because you could easily compare Sammy Watkins to Charles Rogers or something. So there's always the chance that he doesn't pan out, and I understand that. But moving forth, you should absolutely be excited. And then he gets here, he visits with Jim Kelly, and he's been very, accepting of the community and outspoken already. He's already running a camp or something, I think at West Seneca, one of the West Seneca East or West high schools. I'm excited about the guy more than on the field, and what's sad is the expectations that we have for him, and he's only 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 until June. So there's a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he seems like he can carry that load. So, guys, you should be incredibly optimistic at least. Don't worry about the future pick. That's the future. We're living in the now. We'll worry about that eventually at some point. But we have 16 games in front of us first before we even get to that. Ideally, you're going to be a good team. Ideally, that's going to be a low first-round pick in the 20s, hopefully 32. Ideally, that's what pick it's going to be. So it's really not that bad of a move to get rid of it in order to give Sammy Watkins, who is largely believed across the scope of the NFL to be a game-changing franchise wide receiver. And that's that. Into round 2. I thought the Bills might pull the trigger on Morgan Moses, who ended up lasting until round 3, I believe. One of the first couple picks in round 3 to the Redskins. But they go with Cyrus Kouandjio. Obviously, my only reservation about Kouandjio was his arthritic knee. I mean, you look at Kouandjio, he's huge. He has really long arms. He pushes people around. He throws them to the ground. They use the word mauler a lot. That's what he does. And he did that a lot on the left side at Alabama, and he translates very well to the right side for the Bills because he has really long legs that can be kind of stiff at times. He doesn't move all that well. He was I think he might have even had the slowest 40 time amongst offensive linemen, but when you're that long, especially in the arms, people struggle to get by you, especially in pass protection. So, I mean, instantly translates to the right side. You got to assume he's going to be the starting right tackle. They did pick up a prospect later in the draft, which I will also get to, but Kouandjio is, I mean, it's all on the knee, really. What's up with your knee, buddy? That's all I want to know. I can tell you're a fantastic blocker. You're huge. I'm really excited about you on the right side, but I'm a little bit nervous about the knee. Other than that, I look at it as the Bills picking a huge lineman to help out their young quarterback. Let's keep this guy upright. Let's help pave the way for the running game. Let's be a power running scheme, but also, the pass protection's there for EJ. And that's first 2 picks. They trade up to get Sammy Watkins. They get him a weapon. They draft Cyrus Kouandjio. They get him protection. Weapon and protection. EJ Manuel had to be the happiest man in Buffalo, during the draft, or at least after the first 2 picks. Moving into round 3, you're maybe expecting them. I was kind of expecting them to go linebacker, to be honest with you. Where else could they have gone? Tight end, I suppose. Defensive end. Any one of those 3. Maybe even safety at that spot. But they go with Preston Brown. And I saw a couple of Preston Brown's games because I used to watch a little bit of Louisville so I could watch Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know. And Preston Brown actually seemed like a pretty solid player. I mean, I know that he is certainly more of a run stopper, but I'm fine with that because, like I said, Brandon Spike's only on a 1-year deal. There's a very good chance, not for certain, but there's a very good chance that he could bolt after this year. And then you're left again with a hole at linebacker. You have Alonzo again and Rivers, and so it's good at the Bills. They draft Preston Brown. They can give him a year to get his feet wet. I don't know what kind of situations he will play. Spikes could get hurt. Brown could come in early. There's a lot of different ways that could go. I'm sure he'll contribute on special teams early on. But I think, all in all, they might have drafted him with the intention of him being their starting middle linebacker in 2015. And I think that is a fair assessment because he's another word I've heard used a lot for linebackers, thumper. He's a thumper against the run. And that's basically what Brandon Spikes is. He's probably a little bit better at it. But there's no reason Brown can't be a good 2-down linebacker in the future. And then, once you go to third down, you start getting your nickel corners and your dime corners in there. You start going with a lot of 1 and 2 linebacker sets anyway, which Kiko Alonso and Rivers, at least for now, those are your guys. Those are your more athletic, more pass coverage linebackers. So, don't hate the Preston Brown pick at all. I totally understand why they picked him. I like his talent. Mike Mayock seemed to think that, he said the more he watched him, the more he thought he could play 3 downs. That's encouraging. This is a good pick. In round 4, they go with Ross Cockrell out of Duke. And what I like about Ross Cockrell right off the bat is he's a smart football player. He's not just somebody who's gifted with talent, which he has, obviously. Don't take that the wrong way. I like his instincts. Like I said, he's intelligent. He's disciplined. He's certainly talented athletically. He has great. I read he has great leaping ability, which is important, especially at the corner position. What I like about him even more so is that he played a lot in the slot at Duke. Now that's obviously going to help. Maybe he slides into the corner 4, the dime corner spot, because they generally play in the slot. And for him to have the experience there, that's very important. A lot of guys you see get drafted to play outside, they end up playing inside, and they're not as comfortable inside. Take McKelvin, for example. McKelvin, remember when they tried him at corner number 3? When he was the third corner, probably, it was the beginning of, not this past year, but 2012, when they played the Jets. McKelvin was the nickel corner, just getting roasted by Jeremy Curley. McKelvin can't play the nickel corner. He's an outside corner. That's what he does. And he's a lot better at that. So Cockrell comes in, has this ability to play the slot, and I like that because you have guys who can play outside like McKelvin, like Gilmore, obviously. You have an established nickel corner already with Nickel Roby, and then you have Corey Graham, who could probably, I think is an all-around. He could play corner, slot corner, safety. I think he could play anything. I'm certain he's going to contribute on special teams. But, he figures to play a big role if they gave him 4 years, $16 million. Then you have Cockrell, and that really puts, at least it seems obvious, but that really puts Ron Brooks on notice. Like, Ron Brooks, you got to step your game up, pal, because you were not drafted by these guys. They're not committed to you, and you are sliding down the depth chart. So he has to get moving. Round 5, Bills go with Cyril Richardson, the guard out of Baylor, big dude, can move. I believe there were concerns about his weight, but you know what? He played in Baylor. Baylor was running a play every 24 seconds, so obviously he's moving. The guy can get down the field, and is he going to start right away? No, probably not. Could he beat out Chris Williams? Maybe. But the Bills gave Chris Williams starter money, so you expect him to start at left guard. I don't think Craig Urbick was that bad at right guard. So Richardson figures to be the first man in on the interior, first man in off the bench, obviously, on the interior offensive line. But you know what I like about him? 6'5", 330 pounds. Big bodies in front of E.J. Manuel. Big bodies that can clear holes for the running game. That will keep E.J. Manuel upright. This is key. E.J. Manuel and the Bills, and Bills quarterbacks in general, were sacked 48 times last season. I believe I saw 48. That's insane. It's third most in the league. You can't do that. Or sixth most in the league. You got to keep him upright. He's tentative. I understand that EJ's tentative at times. That probably came with being a rookie, but they're eliminating the excuses for him. They're giving him some tools around him. So with that, I wrote in the 7th round. I will do the second 7th round pick first, then the first one, just because of the nature of the position. And they took Chantrell Henderson, who is, go back to Kouandjio. Chantrell Henderson could put Cyrus Kouandjio, on alert for the right tackle position. Chantrell Henderson is a monster. He's fast. He's huge. He can beat people up. He's mean, and that's one thing that Kouandjio doesn't really have. Is he doesn't play with a lot of anger, but he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. Henderson's a little bit more healthy in the knees. The only problem with him is he is an idiot sometimes off the field. Some of the things he does are just dumb. Cannot stop smoking weed. And that's led to multiple suspensions. Get it together. It's up here. Do you want to play football or not? And that's where the 7th round is. It's okay to take guys like that. Because it's a 7th round pick. And you might have hit gold. with a potential starting right tackle in the NFL. So there's that. Like I said, I think Henderson certainly has the ability to start. And if Quanjo's knees go bad, I like Henderson to go in there. I don't know how many offensive linemen the Bills will carry. I'm assuming probably around, I would think, I mean, you got your 5 stars, Glenn, Williams, Wood, Urbic, and we'll go with Quanjo for now. Then Legursky and Richardson on the inside, and maybe Hairston and Henderson on the outside. Is that 9? They might carry 8 or 9. One of those guys might get cut. Oh, Pierce. Yeah, Pierce is probably getting cut. Pierce would be number 10. So at least one or two of those guys are getting cut, probably Pierce. And then you might look at somebody like Legursky could get cut. I don't know about that. Hairston could very well get cut. So there's, a couple different routes they could go. Other pick in the 7th round was Randall Johnson, who I absolutely knew nothing about. I had heard of all the other players that the Bills had picked, but I knew nothing about this guy. 7th round pick, he's really athletic. He has range. He is fast. He can jump. Sometimes you strike gold with those guys. He's an athlete. These are athletes playing in the NFL. He might not get football, but he might. So take a flyer on somebody who is, even though outside linebacker, I don't know, could work out. But he's going to play on special teams, I'm sure, if he makes a team, which is not guaranteed for 7th round picks. And it's not guaranteed for Chantrell Henderson either. He could screw that up. Anyway, the other big news that came out of draft day, which I didn't talk about earlier, was obviously Steve Johnson getting traded. And I don't know if you can see this right behind. Oh, not that side. This side. See the hat? That's signed by Steve Johnson and E.J. Manuel. That's a picture signed by Steve Johnson, of Steve Johnson. That's a koozie signed by Steve Johnson. If I go a little even further, that's a cleat. That's a mini helmet right there. This one signed by Steve Johnson. That one signed by McKelvin. There's a football. This is difficult. Okay, stop. This is difficult. I'm holding the laptop up and I'm pointing. This is a football in this case. You see this case right here? Or this, see the gold? There's football right here. Signed by Steve Johnson. There's a cleat signed by Steve Johnson. Me and him were like pals, man. At least it felt like it to me. Make fun of me if you want, but I mean, I will miss the guy dearly. I totally get it. I get it. I get it, Doug Marrone. I get it, Doug Whaley. I understand. But it still sucks. If the Bills can just, let me go back on that. The reason that we get so attached to these players, because we like watching them, we like cheering for them. But the reason that we can't just latch onto these players as like franchise players is because of the constant coaching changes. Get some continuity at head coach, at GM, or whatever, and you'll stop seeing these roster cleanses every 3 years, because these guys who are on the rosters when, like Marones and the Galeys and the Gerards or whoever inherits the team is not committed to those guys. And they were obviously not committed to Steve Johnson. And you know what? That's fine. I get that. It still sucks. So hopefully Doug Marrone's here for the long haul. That way we can have E.J. Manuel hopefully for the long haul. Hopefully they keep Spiller and Jackson around. But because they also acquired Bryce Brown, who I didn't really mention, he was a fantastic player, by the way, with a ton of potential. And he's only about 23 years old. So, I mean, there's a lot of excitement there. Writing might be on the wall for Fred Jackson there, who's 33 years old. But, I hope they're interested in keeping him around. I hope that they are going to keep Spiller around. It's just because these are good football players. It's just that I like what the Bills are doing, guys. They're bringing in the guys they want. They're getting rid of the guys they're not committed to. That's football. That's the business side of it. Anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm almost 20 minutes into this video, and I'm about to wrap it up right now. So tweet me, comments, everything. I will answer them all. I promise you. My grade for the draft, probably about a B+, A-. I like it. I like it a lot. So Okay, A minus might be a little bit far because these guys are unproven. I don't know about like Quanjo's knee. I love trading up for Watkins. That's a huge move. And they got some decent role players or guys that can certainly contribute in the middle rounds, but they get the wow factor with Watkins. So I'll give them a B plus. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. B plus for the Bills draft grade. You guys can, weigh in, give me your draft grades. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. Did we give up too much for Watkins? How do you feel about Stevie being gone? How do you feel about Bryce Brown? What do you think that means for the running back position? How do you feel about our offensive line now? Talk to me about it, guys. I want to hear it all. I gave you my Twitter at the beginning of the video, so watch that. I'll throw it up here one more time. Bang, there it is. Hit me up. I answer just about every tweet, I promise. So let's talk about it. It's only May. OTAs are about to start. So, as always, go Bills!